Welcome, everyone. Let's sit together. Come to a comfortable seat. You might prop yourself up so that the spine can be long and the pelvis can relax. Let the hands rest somewhere that's undistracting and the eyes either soften or close. Start to bring your attention to your breath. And as you do, you can gradually let the pace and breadth and consistency of your breath become slower, steadier, better attended to. The breath with which we practice is in some ways aspirational. It's inviting us to feed a message to our nervous systems about a world in which we aren't directly engaged with overstimulation or anxiety or unnecessary busyness, where our pace is aligned with peace. And of course, this is idealistic in some ways, and in others, it's closer to reality than we might think. In some ways, the overstimulation or the anxiety or the fear or the speed or the busyness is very real and unavoidable. And in other ways, it's what we've practiced. And it's what we continue to practice because it's a pattern that plays out. So in our practice, we have the opportunity to practice, and we have the opportunity to practice peace. So from the get-go, sense that you're sending a signal to your nervous system about what's possible. That the breath that you're breathing is a message about inner steadiness, is a message about fortitude and nourishment. And it's the hope that as we practice peace in every pose, with every breath, and with the way that we steward the mind during practice, we can start to notice where we're hanging on to overstimulation, anxiety, fear, nervousness, busyness, overactivity, simply out of habit. And it might feel good just because it's familiar. And our nervous system enjoys familiarity. So all of that said, let's make peace familiar. So let's start with a simple Samavritti, in and out for the same count, and then we'll build on it. Let's all meet at the bottom of the breath. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, make the breath steady. 4. Breathe out across all counts. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, front, sides, and back. Breathe out. Keep the spine tall. Breathe in. Last one, like this. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. We've lengthened it. Keep the breath steady out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out. 2, 3. It will change again. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold or go right to the exhale. Continue what we've done. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. You can always skip the holds. Just do what we've done. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue on your own. You can revert to the 4 and add the holds there or not. You can stay with the 6 with or without the holds. But you're practicing the sense of peace, where you might notice the mind or the body grasping onto a familiar sense of anxiety or busyness or distraction or fear or overstimulation. You come back to practicing the breath with not only as much attention as you can muster, but also with a sense of easefulness in the body and a sense of length and spaciousness in your breath. So you're drawing the breath evenly across all the counts like peanut butter on a slice of bread. And you're also breathing into the front of the body, all the way down to the belly, into the sides of the waist, and all the way into the back, all the way into the shoulder blades. And although emotions, sensations, and thoughts might arise, stay really anchored in the idea of offering this to your nervous system as a way of practicing peace. That this is something that can become the new familiar pattern over time. Finish the round that you're on. You're welcome to take one more. And as you start to wind down the practice of Samavritti, let the breath become one with which you can move through posture. So as you let the counts go, preserve the steadiness. Preserve the attention to your breath, and let the breath take up the right amount of space in the body. And let the breath also find a comfortable pace with which you can practice. When you're ready, draw your hands in prayer at the center of the chest. We'll chant the sound of Om together to begin. You're welcome to join me. Take a big breath in. And let the breath out. Big inhale. Bow your head to your heart. When you're ready, slowly blink your eyes open. Make your way into table. Make sure your blocks are at the top of your mat. We'll start how we often do, just to give some sense of familiarity to the nervous system. And I'll talk about why. So you're welcome to come into a table and take a few rounds of cat and cow. You're welcome to come into a downward facing dog, sprawl out into plank, and then back into dog. You can also hybridize the two. So you're creating a kind of familiar movement practice that feels like it's helping you to link the breath to the movement and also welcome you to your practice. So especially when we're about to change things up or when we're practicing things that are more difficult, offering a sense of familiarity and stability is really helpful because it allows the body to know experientially that there's safety so that we don't become activated and averse. So sense as you take these movements in whatever way feels right for you, that you're kind of transforming the rectangle of your yoga space, or even just acknowledging that the rectangle of your yoga space is a place that has some sense of safety for you. It's a place where we can try things on and do things differently, and yet there's always this rectangular raft of our mat. And then over the next couple cycles of breath, we'll meet in downward facing. Use the shape to create a little bit of space. Walk your feet in about a pace. And take your right hand and reach, you could always keep it kind of mid-mat under your face. You can always keep it kind of near your left ankle, or you can grab onto your left ankle. Just create a little bit of twist in the spine. Keep the pelvis as steady as is possible, meaning that both sit bones are evenly pointing to the back of your space. You might even look underneath you to see if that's still happening. And then roll the ribs by gazing underneath your left armpit. Keep the left arm steady. Just take a very deep breath into the whole left side of your waist. Long breath out, plant the right hand down without much ado, and then take your left hand. You can move it anywhere in the direction of your right heel or grab onto it. Take a long breath in to lengthen the spine and to steady the direction of your sit bones, and then roll your ribs open. One more long breath in. Long breath out, unwind, plant your hands down, land your knees down. And you can always choose to keep your knees down the entire time and just imagine that they're lifting. That can create a lot of the same contractions in the abdominals, even just using your imagination. But oftentimes what will happen when we're in distress, whether it's kind of global and chronic or acute, is that the breath will start to lose its pace, its breadth, its cadence. So take a long breath in, just relax the belly as much as you can. And then exhale, imagine that you're lifting your knees. Just for this first round, we'll all keep the knees down and create a contraction in your lower belly. And even you can imagine that the floor of your pelvis is pulling up into the lower belly. Almost like a a little parachute is deploying up like a diaphragm, like the diaphragm that sits underneath your ribs. Take a long breath in to relax the pelvis. And when you breathe out, the diaphragm that actually literally sits at your rib cage also relaxes in that same way, where it's sort of, or rather I'll explain a little bit more. So take a long breath in and imagine that the diaphragm is moving down towards the belly to allow the lungs to expand. And that the same thing is happening with the pelvic floor diaphragm, that it's moving down kind of towards the floor of the pelvis is moving downwards, and in this case, backwards. So everything is expanding. The volume within you is larger. And then exhale, imagine both of those diaphragms are rising up into the body, contracting so that everything can expel. And we'll do that a couple more times. Take a long breath in. This time you have an option. Exhale, imagine that everything is moving up into the body cavity, and you can even lift your knees up with your toes curled under. So the contraction makes everything rise. Inhale, relax everything. Everything depresses and releases. And then exhale, lift everything up. Imagine everything's contracting back up into the belly. So the pelvic floor diaphragm, so to speak, is rising up towards the belly. The diaphragm of the ribs is rising up towards the lungs. One more time. Take a long breath and relax everything. The regular diaphragm and the pelvic floor diaphragm kind of depressing back. And then exhale, lift. Inhale, lower everything down. This might be a little bit unusual, so if you just want to come into down dog for this and step your foot forward, that's fine. You'll walk your hands off to the right side of your mat and step your left foot forward. Spin the right shin parallel to the back of the mat. So you're in a modified warrior 2 position. And then take your left elbow against your left thigh. And then as you reach your right arm up, if it's uncomfortable for your shoulder, for the arm to be kind of free form in space, you can always bend your elbow. And then inhale, lengthen the rib cage and almost lean back. So there's a little bit of a back bend, but keep that same feeling of lift in the belly and lift in the pelvic floor as we just felt in the table shape. And then exhale, take your hand behind your head and round your spine. So the pelvis isn't moving. It's really that the spine is coming through flexion and extension. Extension like a cobra pose, flexion like a cat pose. Keep the pelvis steady, keep the left shoulder blade pulling down the back. Now we'll do it at pace with the breath. And imagine that it's pumping the breath and allowing for a little bit of melting around the muscles of breath so that you can have space. Inhale, reach the right arm up and open little extension through the spine. Remember, you have alternate positions you can take. Exhale, hand behind the head, round in with the spine. Stay really spacious in the left shoulder. Inhale, open all the way back up. Exhale, round. One more time, inhale, open all the way back up. Exhale, round in. Inhale, open back up, and this time stay. And you can keep the right arm reaching straight up. You can take a little bit of the back bend within the shape, or you can choose to have your hand behind your head. Take a long breath in, lengthen your spine. Long breath out, roll the ribs open. Take a long, steady breath in. And notice the mind and the body. And if you feel like there's clenching or tightening around a thought pattern or around a muscular pattern, let the body completely relax and take your next breath practicing peace. And peace might feel scary and unfamiliar if you're used to practicing anxiety. Not to say that it's your fault, but it can get kind of instilled in the nervous system. It can get instilled in our actions and our thoughts. And we can use our own discernment and our own practice to weed it out and replace it with something new. Sometimes we need a little extra help around it, but our practice certainly can supplement. One more long breath in. Long breath out, round in, and grab one of your blocks with your right hand. Place it at the back of your mat. Kick your left leg out long. You might have to adjust the block so that the block is providing just the right amount of support. You'll know the support's right when your body's somewhat parallel to the floor. And reach the left arm up for a supported half moon. If this doesn't work for you, you can always put your foot back down and come to a supported side plank. You can always kick your foot onto a wall if you want to back yourself up. And it might be that you work best without the block. It all depends on your body proportions. And then it's your option to stay like this or to pull your left heel towards your left sit bone. You don't have to touch it. Just give a little hamstring curl so that as the front body opens up, the back body strengthens and there's no pressure whatsoever. Take one more long breath in. Long breath out, re-extend your left leg. Step your left leg back down. Cartwheel your arms back up and open and swivel into a low lunge. So it might take a couple of extra steps. You might need to pick your back knee up. And then it's your option, of course, always to plant your hands onto the blocks if that works best for you. You can also take your hands on top of your front thigh, interlace your fingers with the left pinky finger on the outside of the clasp, and push your hands down on top of your front thigh. And we'll work with this cat-cow motion just one more time in this shape. So first inhale, open up across the chest. And then exhale, push the clasp of your hands into your knee and round the spine. And I'll give you an option to grow this in a couple breaths. Inhale, open up. You can always uninterlace if that works better for you. Exhale, push into your front thigh and round the upper back. So it's not the hips moving, it's the spine. One more time, inhale, open. Exhale, round. Just notice if you have the tendency to rush or to busy yourself or to distract or to do the same old thing. And then the options to keep your hands down or to reach your clasp of your hands on, keep it on your front thigh for the opening. And then exhale, option to press the clasp of your hands forward and round. Inhale, open. You can keep the hands down. Exhale, round. One more time. Inhale, open. Exhale, round the spine. Inhale, land your hands, step back into a table. Push down into your hands, take a long breath and just let everything relax. Let the belly relax, let the pelvis relax, let the chest relax. And then exhale, imagine that the pelvic floor is rising up to the belly, that the diaphragm is rising up towards the lungs, and lift the knees. Inhale, lower the knees, take a long breath in. And exhale, give yourself the support of lifting the pelvis, lifting the belly, lifting the chest, lifting the knees, trusting in your own strength, regardless of how much support you need to take to feel it. And lower the knees one more time, take a long breath in, let everything relax. And then exhale, lift the floor of the pelvis, lift the belly, lift the chest, lift the knees. Lower everything down. Now, before you go into this shape, because this is a familiar shape, as you come into plank, practice peace. So you'll step your left foot back and then the right. But notice if in plank pose you come into a gripping place or a busying place, or an anxious place, or an overthinking place. And do whatever it takes to make this a calm shape. So it might be that you put your knees down. It might be that you continue to sense that on your inhale, the floor of the pelvis very slightly relaxes. It won't be the same with this extra effort. And on the exhale, you really support yourself with the feeling of all the diaphragms of the body. One more long breath in. Exhale, land your knees. Make sure your blocks are where you need them. I'm swiveling just so you can see me better, but you can stay facing your direction. Take your hands off to the left side of your mat space. Step your right foot forward and spin the left shin parallel to the back of the mat. And come up into a supported warrior two shape with your legs. Then take your right elbow against your right thigh and reach the left arm up. Now this arm can be extended all the way out long, but if that doesn't feel right for you, you can always cactus your elbow. Take a long breath in and let it open. You remember the first one's slow. And as you breathe into your body and as you observe your thoughts, you can notice if they're going at a different pace than your practice. And then exhale, take your left hand behind your head and round in. And it's just the upper back that's moving. So everything else is really steady. You can have that same sense of the pelvic floor lifting up. If that doesn't feel right for you, you can just sense that it's a squeeze in the lower belly. Inhale, roll all the way back up and open. Extend the arm or take whatever shape you've decided on. Exhale, hand behind the head, round in. Inhale, open all the way back up. Exhale, round. Just practicing the steadiness of breath and movement. Practicing peace. Inhale, open all the way back up. Exhale, hand behind the head, curl in. Inhale, open all the way back up. Imagine you're curling in, but grab a block. Take it and move it to the back of the mat space. Extend the right leg out long. Right arm up. Adjust the block as needed, and it's your option to stay like this or to lift the right leg up away from the ground. A dead giveaway that we're practicing a pattern that's fearful or anxious or stressed or too fast and busy is that the jaw will tense and tighten, or that the shoulders will squeeze, or that we'll be clenching something just to make it happen, to push. So notice if that's happening in your body. It's your option to stay like this or just pull the heel in with its own strength. So you're contracting your hamstrings, lengthening out through the front of the thigh, but there's no pressure there whatsoever. Take one more long breath in. Long breath out, kick the right leg back out long, step the right foot back down. Come all the way back up through the supported warrior two and swivel yourself around into a low lunge. You can always have the blocks there, you can always put your hands on them. Interlace your hands and place your right pinky on the outside of the clasp. If the interlace doesn't work for you, you can just put your hands down. Inhale, come forward, open up across the chest. Then exhale, push and round through the spine. So the pelvis is moving a little bit, but it's not the hips that are rocking, it's the spine that's flexing and extending. We'll do that twice more. Inhale, open up across your chest. Exhale, round. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Now it's your option to stay like this, or inhale, come forward, open up across the chest. And exhale, option to round and push your hands forward. We'll do that twice more. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Inhale, open. And exhale, round the spine.
Inhale, land your hands down, step into table. And we'll do each of these just once. So push down through your hands. So really to get a sense of this feeling of the diaphragms expanding, especially because of the tension that we carry, this position can be really helpful, but just let the belly really radically relax. And then exhale, imagine that you're almost between the two sit bones, pubic bone and tailbone, lifting something up towards the belly. And that from the belly, you're lifting something up towards the chest. And then perhaps you lift the knees. But all of it's from a place of strength and connectivity. If it starts to feel busy or distracted or stressful, and you can't mitigate it with the breath and your concentration, you have to put something down. Land the knees. Now we'll come into plank pose, any plank of your choice, but it has to be practicing peace. That's the one stipulation. So you'll step your right foot back, left foot back whenever you're ready. And sense that you're in a plank pose where you can do something different. Not grasping, not distracting. And sometimes the pushing is going to feel really good because it's familiar. Being in a place where you can feel the breath moving. One more long inhale. And long breath out. This time push back into downward facing dog. Bend your knees, look to the top of the mat space. Get there however you'd like. Inhale, halfway lift, open up across your chest. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach your arms up, come up to stand. Exhale, hands to prayer at the center of the chest. And we'll practice a couple rounds of Surya Namaskar. But first get really situated in your feet. And in some ways, one might see this and think we're just standing here. Set up your Tadasana as the pose that it is. Get the weight even in the feet. You might even rock forward, back, side to sense where that is. And just like in the table, take a long breath in, just let the belly really relax. Let the pelvis really relax. And then exhale, create a sense of uplift. Of feeling almost like the floor of the pelvis is lifting up to the belly, is lifting up towards the rib cage, is lifting up towards the sky. You can even think of the roof of your mouth as another diaphragm. This shape is maybe the closest one we have to what it's like to be in the world on a regular basis. What's it like to practice peace in this shape, to make the breath a little bit smoother? To make the body simultaneously a little softer and a little stronger. To make the mind a little bit more concentrated so that it narrows and everything on the periphery can kind of dissipate. When you're ready, inhale, reach your arms up. I'll do one with you and then you'll be on your own. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, open your chest. Exhale, step back to plank pose. Left foot, right foot, push the floor away. Take a breath in plank. Exhale, slowly lower. So all the same inputs are in place. We're still practicing a sense of steadiness. Inhale, lift up across the chest, cobra. Exhale, downward facing. And if you tend to be that person that hops right back up to the top of the mat, Use the downward facing to slow yourself down. One of the best things we can do in the practice is slow ourselves down, because oftentimes when we jump into things, we're doing the same old thing because it feels familiar. When we pause, we can use discernment to see, is this a pattern I'm recreating? Bend your knees, look to the top. Get there however you'd like. Inhale, halfway lift, open up across your chest. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach your arms up, come up to stand. Exhale, hands to prayer at the center of the chest. Take 3 more rounds on your own. And as you move, really use the salutations in their familiarity and also in their newness today to not only link your breath to your movement, but sense how the mind and the body and the breath are creating the tapestry of the message that you're sending to your nervous system. So when I say the message you're sending to your nervous system, what I mean is the way in which your movement, your breath, and your observation of the mind are either ingraining the patterns of stress or allowing the space for our system to really relax. When we're pushing and pressing and stressing and exerting and breathing quickly, oftentimes what we'll get is that stress signal. Steady the breath out. Slow your movement down. Witness the mind with a little bit less judgment. Take your time, but when you're ready, we will meet standing at the top of the mat. Make your Tadasana purposeful. So as practitioners, we can think of every time we come to our mat or to our cushion or to our text, It's kind of like pressing an on button. And it pervades everything that we do. It's really just a catalyst. It's like a moment of a big blast, a big infusion of our yoga that then can disperse through the way that we live. And sometimes some things happen that kind of turn that button off. When we come back here and we're like, I'm going to push that button again, it's going to disperse. So sense that you're really feeding that to your body. Because it's not always the conscious mind that needs to know something in order for it to feel real. It's actually a sense of body knowing. Make sure your blocks are at the top of your mat. And then when you're ready, bend your knees down towards a chair. Take your hands onto your thighs. And take a big step back with your right foot. Spin the foot so that you come into a side angle pose. Put your left elbow against your thigh. And we'll explore some familiar themes. Option for the right arm straight up. Option for the right arm straight back. Take a long breath out across the chest. So you're in a little bit of a back bend. Exhale, option, elbow behind the head and round towards your left knee. You can always put your right knee back down for this. Inhale, reach up, extend the right arm. Exhale, elbow, hand behind the head, bend the elbow, round in towards your left knee. One more time, inhale, reach all the way back up. Exhale, hand behind the head, round in towards your left knee. Inhale, reach your right arm all the way back up and let that pull your left leg straight. For triangle, you can grab a block and place it on the inside of your front thigh so that you can press your left hand down. Inhale, lengthen your spine forward. Long breath out, roll the ribs open and let there be that little sense of a back bend while you pull your front ribs together. So it really just steadies you. There's no back bend whatsoever, but there's just a sense of it. And if you want to give yourself a more challenging experience through which you can practice that sense of peace, it's your option to reach your left arm forward, maybe even take the right arm to frame your ear. It's always your option to keep your arms lifted the entire time or grab the block, bend deep into your front knee and come up into half moon. So you can do it hands-free if you would like. So we're just extrapolating on what we did from kneeling. Take a long breath in, lengthen the spine forward. Long breath out, let the right arm bring you into a little sense of a back bend in the upper back, but the front ribs are hugging in. Option to pull your right heel in towards your right sit bone, with or without the hand. Take a long, slow breath in. And then a long breath out. It's your option to step your feet together, or you can retrace your steps. Take a big step back towards side angle pose. And then cartwheel your hands down and step right into downward facing dog. Bend your knees, look to the top of the mat, step right foot and then left foot. Inhale, halfway lift, open your chest. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach up, stand. Exhale, hands to prayer at the center of the chest. You can stay facing your direction. I'll change just so that you can see me better. From the top of your mat, bend your knees. Stay bent in your right knee and take a big step back with your left leg. Seal the foot so that you're set up for side angle pose. Press your right elbow against your right thigh. You can always put your left knee down. You know your options with the arm. Option to let the arm come a little bit back behind the body and then inhale, open up across the chest. Exhale, hand behind the head, round in towards your right knee. We'll do that twice more. Inhale, open all the way back up. Exhale, round. One more. Inhale, open all the way back up. Exhale, hand behind the head and round in towards your right knee. Inhale, open all the way back up and use the straightening of your right leg and the lift of your left arm to pull you towards triangle pose. You can take a block and place it on the inside of your front leg so that you've got some support. If you'd like to add a little bit of juice to kind of get your practice of peace going, you can always extend your right arm to the front of the space. You can always use your left arm to frame your ear. But notice if you're gripping and grasping to stay there, or if you're kind of exerting or anxietying or busying to keep it. Take a long breath in, lengthen the spine forward. Long breath out, roll the ribs. So you remember the back bend, but you keep the core connected. And then it's always your option to stay hands-free the whole time. That's on the table. Or bend deep into your front knee, reach the block forward, and launch up into half moon pose. Take a long breath in, lengthen your spine forward. Then long breath out, roll the ribs open. It's your option to stay like this or pull your left heel in towards the left sit bone with or without the hands. Just letting everything be a little more spacious. Being peaceful doesn't mean we don't also need steadiness or ferocity. This means that we're extracting as much fear as possible. One more long breath in. Exhale, option to come back the way you came in or just to step your feet together. So you come back through side angle, cartwheel your hands down and step back into downward facing dog. Take a long breath in. Let a long breath out. We'll come into pigeon pose. You can set your left shin forward. If pigeon doesn't work for you, you can come onto your back into a figure four with your left ankle over your right thigh, or come into a simple cross-legged seat with your left shin forward. And you can stay upright or you can fold all the way over your front leg. Letting the jaw soften. Letting the eyes and the face soften. Letting the belly soften. And then when you're ready, you can really simply step back through downward facing dog and do the other side. So right shin forward for pigeon pose. You can always come into a supine figure four with your right ankle over your left thigh, or into a simple cross-legged seat with your right shin forward. Letting everything soften up. Jaw, face, belly. And then giving yourself the kind of breath that you would take with all confidence, with all steadiness, with all spaciousness. Even one step in that direction is beneficial. And when you're ready, you can simply step back through downward dog. If you're already on your back, you can stay there. Land your knees down. Make sure your blocks are with you as you come onto your back. You can always take a bridge without any support, or as you come into bridge pose, glide a block or blocks any height, any width that feels like it's supporting you. Just letting the hip flexors open back up after pigeon. Although the back legs, hip flexors are always extended, the front one gets a deep flex. And in addition to opening up the front of the body in your bridge pose, you're welcome to, if it feels okay for your lower back, sway the thighs from side to side and lean a little towards one half of the pelvis and the other, almost like you're turning a steering wheel. And the foam from the block provides a little bit of myofascial release, kind of pushing into the muscles and the fascia. Of the glutes and the lower back at the same time. And then lastly, you can choose to lift your legs straight up skyward to get a little bit of an inversion. If this doesn't feel right for you, you can first try to adjust the support underneath you to make sure it's the right height. It might need to be lower. Second, you could keep your feet on the floor. But especially as we approach Shavasana, sense that you are really not only practicing peace at this point, but protecting your peace. There's plenty, not only from the outside in life, but from the inside, from our own body minds, that threaten our peace, that put us squarely in the same situations over and over, that overcommit us, overschedule us, busy our bodies and brains, leave us with very little resource. This might be happening to us or happening through us or happening because of us. And the reason doesn't much matter in terms of blame, because there's no need to blame or judge. What we're doing is observing and then seeing, what's this new choice I can make? How can I practice peace, protect my peace, and be peace amidst everything else? What's within my realm of control? How can I cultivate and guard? When you're ready, you can step both feet back down to the ground, lift the blocks, set them off to the side. And I'll offer a special setup for Shavasana. You're welcome to take any Shavasana you like. If you want, you could do one more hug of the knees into the chest. You can rock side to side. And when you're ready for your rest, you can bring the soles of the feet together, knees apart. And instead of just putting the blocks right underneath your thighs, catch the bottom edge of the block against the mat and turn the block so that it's flush to your thigh. So instead of pushing into the thigh and creating a little bit of resistance and a kind of serrated edge on the block, you've got a whole flat edge, so everything's really soft. And then if it feels resonant for you, you can put your hands on your body somewhere that feels meaningful. And let yourself rest. Shavasana.
Take a long breath in. Let the body stay really soft to the ground as you breathe. Keep the breath really slow and spacious. And let the breath out the same way. So really unhurried, really kind to your body and your mind. And then over the next couple cycles of breath, come up to sit in the way in which you want to re-enter the world, your day, your life. When you're ready, you can draw your hands in prayer at the center of the chest, knowing that this is just the on button that we've pushed to renew our yoga. This isn't our yoga that has a start and an end. It's not confined to the rectangular mat. It's everywhere. It's every moment. You're welcome to chant the sound of Om with me to close the practice. Take a long breath in. And let the breath out. Big inhale. Bow your head to your heart. And when you're ready, slowly blink your eyes open. Thank you, everyone, very much.